Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to partners watching all over the world, and good morning to our special Partners of the Year award winners here in the audience live with us in Redmond, Washington. I'm really excited about our Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program and all that we're going to do together to really help customers embrace what I call AI transformation. The facets of the program really give you everything you need, from the platform itself and the Copilot stack through new levels of capabilities and credentialing. Of course, we're going to make investments and we're increasing our channel incentives to support AI adoption around the world. And then above all, we love more than anything, after we get done building solutions together, is taking them to market together through our marketplace and our Teams store. We have so much to offer in the world of Copilots and AI transformation, and we can't wait to get started with each and every one of you. I want to build upon a slide that Satya showed a bit earlier, this notion of the Copilot stack, the Copilot ecosystem, and the AI advantage. Of course, we're really excited about all of the first-party assets we're bringing to Microsoft Cloud Services you know and love, and all of the new generative AI capabilities we'll have there. But honestly, that pales in comparison to the value that we'll be able to add together with third-party solutions, which is why we've opened up the Copilot stack so you can build your own Copilots for functional needs or vertical and industry-specific needs. And we really want to build out this Copilot ecosystem together. Of course, there's tremendous value for ISVs, digital natives, and startups, but it doesn't stop there. There's an enormous opportunity for SIs to embrace the Copilot ecosystem, to really frame out solutions for customers, build on the assets, and frame out what customers really need. Because at the end of the day, AI transformation is about solving for the business impact and applying technology to help customers achieve more like never before. And then on top of that, our cloud solution providers are really game on here to deliver scale in down markets, down into the corporate and SMB sector. We're massively increasing our investments in corporate and SMB this year. Nicole will talk a lot more about that. But we want you to be the drivers of change for customers around the world of all sizes and in all industries. And this AI advantage is not just a Microsoft AI advantage. It's an advantage for the entire Microsoft partner ecosystem. And we're really pumped up about it and can't wait to get started with each and every one of you. So I want to talk a little bit about this journey that we've been on together. Over the last decade, we've been working together to move our customers to the cloud. But it hasn't just been about taking them to the cloud for the sake of throwing technology at the wall and seeing what might stick. The reality of the situation is a customer's set of applications running in their data center was really not a whole heck of a lot different when it's running in our data centers in our cloud. The real secret sauce here has been our efforts to drive digital transformation together with our customers. And for me, that's always been about business transformation first, empowered and enabled by technology, and in that order. Because when you get those things out of order, you stop short of the real value realization you can have with customers. And for us, it's always been a lot more than that. Each and every one of you have contributed to the successes we've had in each industry and how much we've been able to move our customers forward in embracing digital transformation. AI transformation is going to be a lot of the same thing. People are going to AI wash a lot. You're going to see .ai appended to a lot of product names and a lot of company names. And look, there'll be some real product truth in a lot of those solutions. But fundamentally, where we are grounded here across Microsoft's partner ecosystem is making sure that we're providing real value in AI transformation, that the scenarios that we deliver together are prioritized against the customer's business needs. I genuinely believe we have real market differentiation across this partner ecosystem, and there's three simple things to remember that are the objective evidence of this differentiation. There's our capabilities. We're bringing generative AI to all of the Microsoft Cloud services you know and love. And I'm going to show most of those to you here in just a moment. But that gives us the opportunity to light up value across multiple lines of businesses, for individuals, for teams, for organizations, and entire industries. So our capabilities are really differentiated here because it's not just about the large language models or large multimodal models themselves. It's about what you do with them to create pragmatic value in people's daily lives. Then the second thing is your capabilities. This is the best partner ecosystem on the planet, bar none. You cover more industries, more geographies, more segments. You've changed the world time and time again, and I believe you're going to do that all over again with AI transformation, and we're going to help you. We're going to invest in your capabilities and make sure that we're there with you along the way so that we all grow together. And the third is the trust element, where we've invested a lot in making sure that the Microsoft Cloud is not just the most comprehensive cloud, but it's the most trusted cloud in the industry, and you all have helped earn that trust with customers. And that, frankly, is what's going to give us the permission to co-innovate and co-develop the next, those truly differentiated assets for customers that matter more than anything to them. So these three things, I think, are different for us. There's going to be, again, a lot of talk about AI from a lot of different angles. There's going to be a massive hype cycle. It's already begun, in fact. But our differentiation is real and it's material. I'm delighted to announce as a part of that, as a part of our new Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program, we're also going to open up our Microsoft Customer Engagement methodology for partners. We've invested a lot in this over the last year. Frankly, we've worked really hard during FY23 inside of Microsoft to adopt this new methodology. It's a consultative approach towards listening and consulting on what customers really need, and then inspiring and designing the next through the portfolio of technology that we all know and love to wield with our customers. And then following that through to value realization and optimization in each of their environments so that everybody gets real value out of the assets that they harness and wield in the technology realm. This, for us, has been super important in helping us navigate uncertainty in the market. There's been a lot of ups and downs over this last year, a lot of impact in the macroeconomic environment, and we have a very data-driven approach here towards driving value realization that we want to share with each and every one of you. So the QR code here for those in the audience, and there's a link in the chat for those of you watching online. A lot more content here and a lot more training and readiness. But this is going to help us work together in market, whether we're co-selling in the enterprise, whether we're leveraging the marketplace. This is going to be the year of the marketplace, and Nicole's going to tell you a lot more of that later. We've also invested a lot in our Partner Delivery Operations Center so that even when our consulting organization primes an engagement, it's all really driven through partners. And then, of course, for cloud solution providers, you are the extension to our delivery of value realization in every part of the world, and we're going to invest more and more in digital customer success to bolster all of that. So a tremendous amount to be harnessed in the Microsoft Customer Engagement methodology, and we're delighted to be able to share it with you. So I've talked a bit about how we're going to sell together in the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program and the MSEM for Partners offering that we're going to provide to each and every one of you. The rest of my time up here is going to be devoted to what we sell, all of those new generative AI services across the Microsoft Cloud, and to whom we sell. And I'm going to ask you to sort of play along with me a little bit here. I'm going to use a metaphor I like to call selling to all rooms in the house when I refer to whom we sell. So why does Judson like to talk about a house? Well, here's the reality of the situation. Customers are not monoliths. Anybody who tells you, well, the customer really wants to do X or the customer really wants to do Y, slow them down, ask them a few questions. Who within the customer wants to get that done? Tell me a little bit more. Is it a key stakeholder? Because there's probably multiple key stakeholders, multiple lines of business. Companies are made up of individuals, all trying to find their own career path, all trying to leverage technology to get the best out of how they think about achieving more. And then there's teams and organizations and line of businesses and stakeholders. Selling to all rooms in the house makes sure that we deliver on our promise of empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. It connects the full value of the Microsoft Cloud from all of our modern work assets all the way through to Azure. And it enables you to unlock integrated value, right? Because if left alone, these multiple lines of businesses make decisions on their own. They may procure technology from incompatible sources, and they spend the rest of their time at a very expensive rate trying to wire it all together and keep it all wired together. And it will all fall short of the integrated value that we can provide together across the Microsoft partner ecosystem. So, AI changes everything. It effectively makes every room in the house new again. It allows us to renovate every floor and provide magic behind every door in the room of the house, all the way from the ground up through to the C-suite. We're renovating the entire house with AI. So my house that I'm going to share with all of you here has a floor for each one of our solution areas, And behind every door is a new solution play, a new opportunity for us to go add value. Again, all of this content is available for you to use with customers. And we're going to show how you wire up stakeholders on each floor and behind every door up to the C-suite, even the CEO and the boardroom. So how do we get that done? How do you prioritize all of these scenarios? Because let's face it, 6 months ago, you had to explain to customers what generative AI was. And let's go through the basics of large language models. Now they're all coming to you with a list of 100 things they want to get done. Here's my list of big ideas. Well, like anybody who builds a house, you need a really good general contractor to make sure that you actually deliver on time and on budget. And that's a bit of our jobs here. So I like to use this frame to help on the scenario prioritization. First, think about what we can do together. Right, this, by the way, this maps back to the 3 things I told you that are going to make us different in how we do this. First, talk about the capabilities we have in the Microsoft AI Cloud, all of the things that we can do across all of our solution areas. Then talk about the integrated partner ecosystem and all of the value we can add with your co-pilots and all of the new innovation that's built on the Azure AI platform. And there's an awesome amount of value. By the time you get through those 2 filters, you've probably addressed 90% of that list of 100 cool ideas. Now you're down to that trust equation, right? We've developed and built trust so that we go out and co-innovate and co-develop really the secret sauce of what's differentiated for a given customer in their given industry. So I like to use that sort of 3-frame flow in talking about generative AI solutions so I can drive some structure and making sure that I'm providing real value realization back to a customer versus just throwing technology to the wall and showing a bunch of cool demos. So with that, I'm actually going to get started. And the floor in the building I like to start with all the time is the modern work floor of the house, largely because it's been our heritage here at Microsoft. We're all about productivity and making individuals enjoy the work they do and get back to the creativity and the things that make them passionate about the work they do, eliminating the mundane and the overhead. And so much has been put into Microsoft 365 Copilot, and there's so much excitement out there. I like to start here. So you might get a meeting in the room of the house called Director of End User Computing. And you might say, gosh, Judson, that sounds like you're calling low in the house. Why wouldn't you start on the C-suite floor first? Fair. But part of my feedback in all of this is that a meeting in any room in the house is a good meeting, and there's value to be unlocked on every floor. And let's face it, this individual has a lot of pressure on them. The world has seen the hype cycle of generative AI. They've probably seen some of these Microsoft 365 Copilot demos. So there's a lot of pressure on this individual to deliver. So when I show up on this floor of the house, I talk about how Copilots have been woven into the entire creativity portfolio. If you write documents and you're an author of materials for your company, we now have Copilots that can help speed up your work. There's no more first draft. In fact, your draft can be perfected. If you create presentations for audiences around the world, Copilot can help you make those more inclusive. They can help you wire in content that's more powerful to connect with your end users. And of course, Copilots have come to the world of teams and collaboration. So we're driving true inclusive collaboration like never before using generative AI, bringing people together across this floor we call the modern work floor. From there, once I've sort of earned the right, again, it kind of comes back to trust, I've earned the right to have demonstrated value on this floor, I get invited to go talk to folks who maybe sort of own a line of business because we've unlocked value for an individual. So show me how generative AI can maybe make a sales organization more effective. And to do that, I'm going to invite my dear friend Charles Lamanna on stage to show us all how. Hey, Charles.
Judson, thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good
to have you here, my friend. So imagine, if you will, just pretend that I run a large sales organization. And I'm seeking to get productivity and efficiency gains out of my sales force using generative AI. How might I do that?
Well, Microsoft Sales Copilot's the answer. It uses generative AI to help seller productivity, efficiency, and help them close more deals each and every day. And to show that in action, I'm going to do a demo pretending that I'm a sales rep preparing for a customer meeting and opportunity. So Sales Copilot helps me always be confident that I'm ready and prepared for the meeting. So as part of that prep, I can go right inside of Outlook and I can easily see information about the opportunity, get a quick summary, as well as understanding what's top of mind for the customer. And every week I have so many meetings like this. This makes me be more prepared for dozens at a time without having to be worse at the meeting or having to spend a lot of time preparing. Now that I've gotten ready and gathered all that information together, I got to go build the presentation for the meeting. So I turn to Sales Copilot, which integrates seamlessly with Microsoft 365 Copilot, so I can get an easily personalized view inside of PowerPoint based on existing documents, as well as all of my CRM data. So this combination makes it easy for me to have the perfect deck for that meeting. Turns out 2 Copilots are even better than 1 when you bring these things together. Now I got the deck, I'm ready to meet, so I go and I jump on a Teams call. So Copilot generates tips in real time to help ensure we have a great conversation. And when the customer references a competitor, it gives me real-time information about how we compare, helping me communicate why our products are the best. And once I've done that, of course, the call went well, I'm gonna follow up, so I'm gonna send a kind of action items and next steps. And Copilot is integrated right inside of Outlook, so it can help me author that email based on the meeting notes, as well as information from my CRM. So with all of that set up, I'm ready to go and communicate with the customer. I just attach the proposal with the pricing and information, and it's in the customer's inbox in seconds. So in this example, Copilot saved me several hours of work for one customer engagement, which makes me more productive each and every day. And it turns out that about 2/3 of seller time is spent in communications and prep, and this helps use generative AI to improve all of that.
That's awesome.
And the 2 best things, though, is number 1, Sales Copilot is generally available today, so everybody can get started with it. And the second is it works with all the leading CRMs, so Salesforce or Dynamics 365.
That's fantastic. And we're going to roll out Sales Copilot across Microsoft. In fact, we're doing it now. We encourage you to do the same. Even if, shock horror, you happen to use Salesforce in your back end, you can get value out of Sales Copilot. So let's pretend for a minute I also run a large support organization. How can I use generative AI to make those teams more productive?
So for that, we're going to turn to Power Virtual Agent, which uses generative AI to build chatbots and experiences which can help solve customer problems without having to talk to a support agent. And what we've done is we have something called Generative Answers inside of Power Virtual Agent. So I can easily register things like website URLs or upload files and documents or even connect to a SharePoint site to power that chatbot. And in this example, I'm going to pretend that I'm an electric vehicle manufacturer. I sell things like the chargers and the batteries. And I've gone and configured some information. And I can show how, even though I just upload content, I didn't configure topics or workflows, but just from that content, I'm able to ask questions and get great answers, which are highly tailored to exactly what I asked, and it sources to my website. And the benefit of this is I can get the bot set up incredibly quickly, and I can have a ChatGPT-like experience powered by my own data.
Cool.
But it doesn't stop there, because it's not just about answering questions. It's also about taking action. So inside of Power Virtual Agent, we also have something called plugins, which make it easy to register skills and actions for things like checking pricing or fulfilling an order, or connecting with your case management system like ServiceNow, Salesforce, or Dynamics 365. So you can configure it where the AI will actually invoke these actions as required to fulfill the task. And now, to kind of see it all wired up together, I got plugins, I got the generative answer set up. I can come here to this electric vehicle manufacturing website and ask a question about the status of an order and try to add additional items to that order. And what you can see here is it can not only check the status, but also give me pricing information and even add it before it ships out. This type of bot would take a long time to build and is now actually self-serving the customer so they can get an answer 24/7 and faster and highly tailored.
Yeah, a couple of cool things to point out on this one. First of all, at least in my support organization, more than half of the calls that come in are about things that could be answered with data on the website. And we just showed how you use citizen dev tools to create a bot to answer all of those questions. And secondly, tied it into system of record, which in this case happened to be ServiceNow. The third thing that is really worth pointing out in all of this is that this is a citizen dev environment, but it wires back into that same Azure AI Studio that Jessica Hawk shared with all of you a moment ago. So if you want your pro dev staff to then take this, embellish it, train the prompts, and do a little bit more, you can, which brings the world of citizen devs to pro devs together, adding more value across the different rooms in the house. Okay, awesome. Value added to sales, value added to support and service, and taking care of customers. Let's say I have a more generic problem, and I know a little bit less about where the messes in my house might exist. And of course, I got to get my house ready to get renovated. How might I use generative AI to explore more about my opportunities there?
So in this case, we turn to something called process mining. Like Satya announced earlier, that's now part of Power Automate. And what process mining does is it ingests data from your systems of record. So it can be Dynamics, SAP, Oracle, ServiceNow, you name it, we can probably connect to it. And it takes all that data and gives you a view of how your business actually runs. What are the common workflows and processes? And if I look at this view here, I've configured it to do something called procure to pay. So this is once you decide to buy something all the way out to when you actually issue the money. Yep. To the vendor. And if you look, there are a lot of steps. It's very complex, and it's not easy to understand where I could use generative AI here. But the good news is process mining also has a Copilot. So on this right-hand side here, I can ask the Copilot, what are the top insights that it has for me based on all the items that have executed as part of process mining? And I can see where is the common bottleneck. It's something associated with requisition approve, how many times it occurs in each time that it executes. And I say, okay, what's driving that bottleneck? Copilot can also help me with that. So it looks at that process information and uses a large language model and tells me I have an issue associated with compliance checks to preventing maverick buying. So that's my opportunity to improve and use Gen AI to improve the processes. So Copilot can also help with that. I can ask it to address my bottleneck, and it'll make suggestions for Power Automate and Power Apps. And I can look here, is this hands off to the Copilots there, so I can get a workflow to automate tasks, or a Power App to help me go and track these requisitions. And if you go to the future, by 2025, 70% of enterprise apps will be built with low-code tools like Power Platform, and process mining makes it easy to identify and bring AI to bear.
That's awesome. And your Copilot actually helped build that generative solution here in a citizen dev tool that everybody can use. Awesome, Charles.
Exactly, awesome. Thanks,
Appreciate
Judson.
It. So I'm starting to get popular in this house because I've added value to individuals. I've added value to organizations. It catches the eye and ear of the CFO. And she says to me, hey, listen, Judson, this is great. But I'd really like to unlock AI transformation for the totality of our organization. But I feel like our infrastructure is still stuck on premises. My teams keep coming to me with expensive proposals for how to migrate to the cloud. So I can't understand how to get from point A to point B in all of this, because if cloud leads to AI transformation, I need help getting there. To show us how we're going to do that, I'm going to invite Mary Williamson to the stage. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Judson.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. So how do we solve this problem? We got servers trapped in a closet, storage arrays trapped in a closet. How do we help the CFO drive AI transformation?
Well, I love talking to CIOs, and they love talking to partners. Typically, partners are their first phone call and looking at these pretty significant investments they have on premise in closets, right? And so one of the things that we've done this year is improve some of our capabilities to help our partners really go through those fundamentals with customers so they can reach velocity faster with confidence. So I'm going to show a little bit about that today. Okay, great. So a couple of things I want to talk about is how those fundamentals happen. So they're asking you all, are we cloud ready, and how do we maximize that journey with cloud savings? So two things I'm excited to share. First, we've enhanced our Azure Migrate tool. And the second is that we've increased and simplified our cloud investment funds. This is great news for partners who take our customers from on-premise discovery and assessments and then land those compelling business cases, and then finally moving the customers to Azure with confidence. So let me jump into the demo. First, let me start the demo by visiting Azure Migrate, which is integrated into the Azure portal. And that's where you can help customers quickly discover their data center inventory. Second, you can quickly leverage the assessment tools to help your customer develop a migration path, including the recommended destination SKUs. Third, and I think this is really the exciting part, once the customer's inventory is discovered and assessed, you can help them build a confident business case. And here is the innovation. Microsoft has taken learnings from our global experience across thousands and thousands of migrations and across industry patterns. And now your customers benefit from that accumulated experience through you, the partner. So let me talk about a specific scenario real quick. In this scenario, the customer, after that assessment, we look at the business case, reducing infrastructure costs for Windows, Linux, SQL, and apps by up to a whopping 67%, saving $2 million annually. And all of that cost savings can be reinvested with the partner conversation with a customer in innovation in the rooms of the house.
What's great about this example is you can see how it actually scales down. So if you're working with a small, medium-sized customer that only has a couple hundred servers, you can still save them an awful lot of money. So point B is materially better than point A.
That's right, and I think there's so much value to tap into. One more addition I want to call out is security in our value proposition. As partners, I know you agree, migration conversations must be a security conversation. I'm excited to share that we now include security savings and as a part of our more comprehensive business case. And here you'll see that in this scenario, our customer can save potentially 56% on the security management cost alone. So there you have it. Microsoft built our tools for partners to use at no cost with enhanced capabilities to drive velocity of your customers' migration decisions. And given our exceptional partners, we're giving you this amazing opening to have that reinvestment conversation and accelerate innovation. And we have this all wrapped in great cloud incentive funds for you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary. Appreciate it. So we've given the CFO a proposal to help get the rest of their estate to the cloud that is cost neutral, in fact, cost benefit. That earns even more trust with the CFO. And she says to me, look, Judson, we bought this company a couple years ago that's in a completely different business. We're really into EV chargers. But we bought this travel business, and I can't make heads or tails of it. The data seems to be everywhere. They use multiple cloud services. And I understand that the data has to get in order for me to get real AI transformation. So can you go call on my chief data officer on that floor of the building and see if there's something you can do? So to show off what we can do there, I'm going to invite Amir Naz to the stage. Amir, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Judson?
So how do we solve this data problem? We got data everywhere, multiple clouds. The CFO wants answers. What are we going to do?
So we are going to use Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric is the product that takes care of everything analytics for you in a unified platform. So everything from ingesting data to the data lake, all the way to delivering the information to the business user, everything in between, we do it in Microsoft Fabric. And since you have the data all over the place, both in Azure and in Amazon AWS, we are going to try to bring it all together. So let's take a look.
Super.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start building a lakehouse in the Fabric OneLake. It's very easy. All you have to do is give it a name, press create. In a couple of seconds, you have an enterprise-ready lakehouse ready to go. Now, we can bring data into the lakehouse by using any of the 150 connectors that we have here, but we're not going to do that. We don't want to do data movement. So instead, we're going to use shortcuts. Now, shortcuts allows us to link into data wherever it is. So in this case, we have some campaign images that we are storing in Amazon S3 buckets. So we're just going to connect to the Amazon S3 buckets, point to the data that we have there, and within a couple of seconds, we have linked our lakehouse to the S3 bucket. And you can see here all the images. We have a bunch of beaches that are next to our tails, and we can go and browse them, and here they are, right?
Awesome.
Now, we have more images, and I have them on my desktop. So in order to bring those images to my desktop, I'm using the Windows Explorer. So what you see here is that OneLake is like the OneDrive for data. So just like you have OneDrive showing in Windows Explorer, you have OneLake showing in Windows Explorer. And inside OneLake, you can see the workspaces that we have, the lakehouses that we have. You can see this is the marketing campaign asset lakehouse. We can see the beaches that we have there in Amazon S3. And we can bring in more information. So these are the activities we're going to offer to our visitors. So I just drag and drop them into the file section of my lakehouse, and I have more images showing up here. And now we can see another activity like visiting the volcano.
Super.
Now, to do the analysis, we need tables. And we're going to use the shortcuts again. So we're going to point to some Delta tables, again, we have in Amazon S3. And all we have to do is, again, connect, set the setting for those tables, and within a couple of seconds, you can see the table show up here.
That's awesome. So we're not actually moving any of the data. We just have access to it no matter where it is.
Yes, it's just linked. No data movement whatsoever. Now, I don't have just data in Amazon. I have also data in Azure, in AWS, it's ADLS. So what we're going to do here, we're going to, the same way, we're going to connect to the data, this table that we're managed by our Databricks, and now we have all the data, both from Amazon and from Azure, all coming together, and we can now start running queries across this data. So we are seeing here the data warehouse experience of Fabric. And we're going to write the SQL query, and this SQL query is join data from tables in AWS and tables in Amazon, and it just runs.
Super. So cross-cloud query.
Cross-cloud query without doing anything, so easy. Now, most of our users don't know how to write SQL queries. So we are building them for them here, semantic models. And those semantic models include relationship between tables and measures. So the business users can use Power BI to just slice and dice the data very, very easily. So we have prepared the semantic model, and now we're ready to head to Power BI. So in Power BI, we have the Power BI Copilot. And what we want to do is to create this marketing analysis report. And all we have to do is tell the Copilot what is it that we want to create. And we give it the detail, like the ability to slice by the source of the customer and other things. And just like that, all we have to tell it, go, and a report is being created for us.
Awesome.
And it's really interactive, completely interactive. So you can cross-highlight, and you can filter perhaps by the customer source very, very easily. And so
I didn't even have to know Power BI. I just used Copilot to help create a Power BI dashboard.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to create such a beautiful report. And it has even changed, as Copilot, it changed the layout for me. You can see 2 columns now that we have laid that out. Now, we can do even more. Not just laying out the data, we can also ask it for the main drivers for repeat customer visits, a more business-oriented question. And it will create a new page in the report, will put out AI visual, will tell us that if a customer purchases a spa visit, they're most likely to come back to our tail chains, which is kind of awesome. Now let's go back to the original page that we had. Ask Copilot to change the layout again. And this time we're going to point to another report, the sales report that we're using with our SLT. And just like that, it matches the styles of the reports. And it's still a completely Power BI report. So I can still have full control of what goes into it. So I can break it down by the customer interest.
Yep.
Or if I want, I can even change the chart type to make it look a little bit more snazzy. So let's make it into a ribbon chart. Okay, that's nice.
That's much better.
Yes. Now, last thing I want to do, I'm replacing the last chart and ask the Copilot to give me the best highlights from this report. And just like that, the Copilot analyzes the data, gives me 3 highlights, complete with citations, and these highlights are always dynamic. When the data changes or when I filter the data, they'll always reevaluate the highlights.
Super. I think I'm ready to go back and see the CFO. That's awesome.
Thank you, Jensen.
Well done, Amir. Thank you. So, now that we have the data estate in order, we get invited to one of the most important floors of the house, and that is the innovation floor, because developers are really excited to help drive AI transformation, but they all want to know how Copilots are going to actually help them build better code and enjoy the work they do. So to show that off, I'm going to invite Allison to the stage. Hey, Allison, how are you?
Good. So
Welcome.
Let's talk about GitHub Copilot.
Awesome.
Now, GitHub Copilot is already adding joy for over 100 million developers by reducing all those repetitive tasks and allowing them to focus on what they love, building great software. Lucky for us, we love that too. So this file has really changed since I last saw it. So I'm gonna ask for some help with what in the world these expressions do. And we're just gonna do that by leveraging our new chat functionality here. Now, this is brand new. You can see here in just one prompt, it told me exactly what these expressions do. But this file, not very maintainable, not very readable. And so we're gonna ask for Copilot to help refactor it, make it more readable, pull validation out so that the next time we see it, it's much easier for us to just start working. And you can see here, it's done everything for me. And with one click, it actually replaces that file with all those comments and better expressions. This is a pull request. You can tell by this comment here. If it wants to pop up, we can see it here though. So with this comment here, you know what, let me just try and reopen this file. If anyone was wondering what happened, if this is a live demo, surely you are seeing now.
No smoke and mirrors.
No smoke and mirrors here. So in just a second here, hopefully. Oh boy, well, it looks like our computer is frozen here, unfortunately. But we're gonna switch over because we always have backups. And we are going to actually add in unit tests here so that we have a fully tested file here. You can't ship code without testing it.
That's awesome.
And so with just one click, it's gonna go ahead and accept it. We've got our file. And in just 90 seconds here, we've got a maintainable, readable, and tested file with the help of GitHub Copilot.
Fantastic.
And with all that time, 74% of developers say they can spend more time on what they love. For me, that's finally learning TypeScript and changing my dog's website. And Copilot can even help me with that. So
awesome,
it's a great time to be a developer.
No wonder 100 million developers use this and love it every day. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Allison. So My last floor in the building, my last tour, step in the tour, is a high-stress floor, and that's the CISO's floor, where there's a lot of security analysts out there working on thwarting all of the bad actors. Unfortunately, if there's one thing that's not slowing down in this day and age, it's the rise of bad actors. And so Copilots can really actually help rationalize the CISO floor in the building, and we're going to show you how we do that. Olivia, come up on stage and let's show this off. Hey, how are you?
Hello. Okay, so in a typical security investigation, analysts need to synthesize information that's coming from multiple different data sources and then use their expertise to interpret what that means. Now, resolving an incident, that could take multiple specialists using dozens of different tools, spending days or even weeks of time doing so. Now, that just isn't realistic or scalable for teams that are already working with limited resources. In fact, we're seeing a shortage of about 500,000 cybersecurity jobs in just the US alone, which makes up for about 6% of total jobs in the country.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we're going to see here is how Security Copilot is making investigation faster and easier for teams, enabling them to do more with less. So what we're going to see from here is how Security Copilot is going to, from a simple natural language prompt, let me see here. Let's make sure we're on the right track. Perfect, okay. From a simple natural language prompt, like analyze incident, Copilot then suggests some of the highest priority active incidences that an analyst can dive into and then look into that more.
Yep.
So what we're gonna see is how Copilot creates a plain English summary of what's happened. And this is based on trusted authoritative information like Microsoft Defender and log files. And then we're gonna see down here below that there's even a diagram of the attack path as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Now, some incident responses, they may require these specialized skill sets that not all analysts have called reverse engineering. And that's where we can look into a piece of malware to see what it does. But with Security Copilot, every analyst can reverse engineer with the click of a button here. So from here, Copilot's analysis of the code is showing us that the malware is trying to get to this group policy object using this ID number from this hidden folder. Now, these details can help teams find other affected devices and clean up. Analysts can also use Security Copilot to help neutralize active threats, and this is using the container prompt book. So what we see here is how Copilot is laying out some steps for us. The first is to isolate affected devices. Next is revoking access for any compromised accounts. And then finally, of course, is to restore devices to a healthy state.
So it basically walks us through how to manage the threat.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So even with Security Copilot, even a junior analyst can then perform the most advanced research or investigation in just a fraction of the time that it would traditionally take us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm excited to announce that this fall, we are going to open our early access program to our customers and partners who are using Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to experience Security Copilot for themselves.
Fantastic, Olivia.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Super. So if that seemed like a whirlwind tour of the house and an awful lot of technology demos, it was. And that actually is very emblematic of all of the value that this partner ecosystem can provide to customers in AI transformation. And so you can build upon these assets. If you're an ISP or a digital native, you can help drive implementation and value realization of these assets if you're a systems integrator. And of course, our cloud solution providers are going to drive this stack across the board. Our device partners have a role to play. No matter what kind of partner you are in our ecosystem, there's value to be added in this era of AI transformation, and we're really excited to get started with all of you. But it actually gets better. In fact, there's an industry value that is added onto this house construct. And to share more with you, I'm going to invite Nick Parker to the stage in just a moment. But before I do, well, you can come up if you want, Nick. Look, I've spent my career working with partners, and it has been just the ultimate pleasure to work with each and every one of you to bring technology to life for our customers around the world, and I couldn't be more grateful for the work that you do, so thank you sincerely. Nick, come on up.
So thank you. So building on the momentum that Judson shared, what we're seeing is how this next generation of AI is producing unique solutions tailored for specific industries and customers. So let's start with healthcare. In this healthcare example, your house is a hospital, and it's filled with clinicians, physicians, care teams, all connecting with patients to provide a high-quality experience, delivering great clinical outcomes at the lowest possible cost. To show how we unlock opportunity and address the needs in this house, I'd like to invite Joe Petro to the stage. Joe, please.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right, so Nuance, Dragon Ambient Experience, or DAX, and the newest product called DAX Express, both run straight at the heart of this problem that we call physician burden and physician burnout. Many of us probably don't realize this, but as patients, when you speak to your physician for 20 or 30 minutes, there is an incremental, on average, 16 minutes of clinical documentation administrative burden that sits on top of that, outside of that moment of care. And as you've heard Satya speak about this morning, we've brought generative AI together with Dragon Medical One, which is our flagship clinical documentation product, with all of our EMR partners and integrations. And that is what Dragon Express, DAX Express actually is, and that's what we'll actually show you right now. So let's see how Dr. Walker here leverages DAX Express with this patient, George Adams, as he's opted into the program. So what you see here is the physician just starts the natural conversation, basically picks up the cell phone, asks George if it's okay to start recording. After that, it's a completely natural experience. So the DAX Mobile is then put down. Physicians' eyes are free to make eye-to-eye contact. Hands are free as well. Physicians no longer burdened by having to take notes in real time, having to remember any details of the conversation. Fundamentally, what we're attempting to do here is bring joy back to the practice of medicine for physicians worldwide. This patient happens to have presented with complaints of something called chronic fatigue. So this could be super simple, like you need to get a little bit more sleep, but it could be super complex and could be an advanced disease state. So these transcripts can be super long and involved, cover a ton of territory. A 10-minute encounter can literally produce several pages of transcript. Then when the episode is complete, generative AI takes over again, and then within seconds, this transcript is turned into clinical documentation. This is, for lack of a better description, it's called a SOAP note, subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. It's basically clinical documentation formatting. All the relevant details are captured and the irrelevant details are ignored. So what you've seen here is DAX listens, generative AI converts the speech stream over to a transcript. The speech is diarized, it's split between physician and patient, and there could be a number of patients actually in the room, and then it's turned into the final document. But the physician is basically in complete control of this experience and does the final editing. What you're seeing here is a mobile use case where the physician walked out of the room, picked up DAX Express Mobile, and actually did a simple voice command to do an edit. Editing can also be done at the desktop at Dragon Medical One. Both the mobile app and DMO support a huge number of voice capabilities, natural language commands, literally thousands. Dr. Walker finally sends the finalized note through voice to the EMR. And in this case, what you're actually seeing is a cropped image of Epic. This all comes with a mind-blowing level of value and impact. We cut about 50% of the time out of the clinical documentation experience, a 70% reduction in feelings of fatigue and burnout. And here's the whopper. The physicians can actually see an incremental 3 to 5 patients per day using a product like DAX. And so you got a happy physician, you got happy patients, and then you also have a happy health system because it's impacting the top line. This is an actual experience inside of Epic. It's called the In-Basket. In this demo, Dr. Walker receives a message from that same patient, George. And he's basically saying that he became a new grandpa. He's got all these sick grandkids crawling all over him, and he's worried about his condition and whether or not he should take precautions. So what you saw happen here is the message flowed into the In-Basket. Physician basically clicked on the message, read the message from George. And then what generative AI did is it looked at the message, looks at information inside of the EMR, and then it produces a message for the physician to see. So Dr. Walker can check the response for accuracy, make edits before sending, and then send a thoughtful response back to the patient. Since the pandemic, physicians have seen a 150% increase in this type of patient messaging. So Epic has developed this AI-powered solution that helps physicians organize, draft, and send messages more efficiently. So they've been doing completely awesome works, and this is really just the beginning.
You know, what I love about the demo is you really showed, Judson talked about the 3 AI priorities, the first being how we infuse AI into our products, and of course you've showed that with how you've taken AI into Nuance and then with DAX Express. And then the second was how our partners are infusing AI into their solutions, and of course you showed not only Epic infusing AI into their solution, but also how it's working with M365 Copilot. And then the last, in fact, is how our customers are infusing AI to unique business problems where it matters most. And we've got a great demo here. In fact, a video from United Health Group that we'll share to show how they've done that. Thanks, Joe.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
There are so many rapid advancements in the world of AI happening in that industry. And inside UHG, we have brought together all our technology and AI teams and developed a clear business-driven agenda to drive better health outcomes, make people's lives healthier, and make the health system work better for everybody. We are really focused on creating human-centric product. Whether we are working for a call center advocate, for an operator doing a lot of claims work, a registered nurse to help extract information from clinical documents, or a member that's trying to find information on our app or website, we're trying to take away the menial, the rote, the repetitive, and make people focus on the care part of healthcare. We have built United AI Studio, our platform on which all our developers develop AI programs. We have hundreds of thousands of use cases that are emerging as a groundswell from the populations across United Health Group. This allows us to have a single view across all the innovation happening in the company to make the best and most powerful use cases scale and make sure we develop responsible and safe AI for the right mission.
It's great to see that real use case directly applying a transformational opportunity in production today. So now let's shift industries to manufacturing. If you're in consumer goods or manufacturing or energy, your house is likely a factory. And we can add a tremendous amount of value on every floor and behind every door in customers in these industries. So to show this example, I'd like to welcome Andy Pratt. Andy, please.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
Good.
Okay, Andy, so what are you going to show us today?
Okay, so today we're going to dive into the work we're doing with Ecolab. So if you don't know Ecolab, they are literally a world leader in water and sustainability solutions. But they also have like thousands of frontline workers who every day are going into these really complex industrial sites. So we've teamed up with them, and over the last few months, we basically brought a whole suite of digital and AI capabilities to really help their customers achieve these incredibly complex sustainability goals. So let's dive in and take a very fast look at some of the work that's been going on. So first of all, we've got to turn the physical world into a digital one. So to do that, we've partnered with Hexagon, who, among other things, have these incredible handheld scanners. So this allows me to literally walk around a facility. It's taking millions of laser measurements real time. It's taking photogrammetry. It's slamming it all together, and I get this incredible high-fidelity twin and representation of the space. So from there, we move into one of my favorite things, which is let's build out a full digital twin. So what I've got here is, you can see this is an Azure digital twin. We've taken that scan, we've modeled it all up, we've simplified it, so we've just focused on the water processing facility here. But I've got all kinds of information I need now. I've got heights, diameters, pipe flows, but we've really got to start now bringing this to life. So I'll connect to the existing sensors, so partners like Rockwell and all the controllers, we can get the infrastructure that's already deployed. But actually, I often need to deploy new sensor fabrics. And in this particular instance, we had to deploy a new water monitoring sensor fabric. However, to do that, there is literally hundreds of different types of sensors. We've got thousands of different mounting points, and it can be a real complex problem. So building on some of the stuff you saw from Jessica earlier, some of the stuff you saw from Charles, we're re-leveraging all of that into industrial environments now. I can directly on the digital twin have an AI agent supporting me in what type of sensors I should use, specific data sheets here coming in. I can get information on the correct mounting and mounting considerations. So all of this, having an expert at my hands, millions of technical manuals and documentation, being able to help me come up with the right bill of materials for the sensor fabric. So now we're packaging that up, we're getting that to the customer's hands, their sensor pack arrives, installation. Not always super straightforward. Again, we were leveraging our mixed reality capabilities here where we can have guides and remote assists, basically taking the customer through exactly where to mount, how to mount, and getting the telemetry streaming. So we've now moved forward again. We have integrated the Power Platform here, and specifically Power BI. We've got our telemetry coming up with our industrial IoT assets. We've secured it all the way across with Defender, and now we're orchestrating edge and cloud with Dark. So with all of this together, telemetry's live, the twin's coming to life, I can see notifications, I can get insights. But because we're cloud side, I can use Ecolab's 3D platform, which gives incredible advanced contextualization to the water processing. I can integrate with our Cloud for Sustainability, which gives us a framework for managing the progress we're looking to make. But if we look at this demo here, you can see that, okay, so we've made some great progress, and we potentially have this predictive trend of increased water consumption. I want to dial into the areas that's potentially causing the concern. And here, I'm not entirely sure what's causing it. So I really do need to lean in for some help. And so I can jump over, create a Teams chat with my friend here, Drew, and start really unpacking, hey, what's going on in this particular site. I can introduce the AI agent. I can go ahead and ask questions about what's causing this increased water usage. And right away, context from the telemetry, from all the different data sources, it's highlighting, even highlighting the fact that it's actually a batch change. It's a change in what the facility is doing. I can ask for help in what I can do. And right away, it's recommending, to evaluate a closed loop recirculation system. So it's deep in the technical. It's helping provide guidelines. I've got an expert there proving that's the right thing. We can take that to the customer. And just very rapidly, we've gone from digitization to AI insights to capabilities. And we're helping a customer achieve sustainability.
That's just a great demo. And I think, a lot of what we're seeing is this incredible progress and all the way through integrated through Teams, but particularly for customers in the manufacturing center, who really, we are living true to the promise that if you make anything or move anything, you make a carbon footprint. You're essentially creating that carbon footprint. But if you can simulate that infinitely in the cloud, you can build better product, a better process, more effectively, more efficiently, and ultimately more sustainably.
Absolutely.
Andy, thank you.
All right, thank you, my friend.
Thank you. So today I'm pleased to announce a new industrial metaverse offering as part of the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. It's currently in private preview, and we're pleased to have so many partners already joining us. We'll move to public preview in the first half of 2024, so we're excited to see your logos up on the screen joining some of our early partners there. And it's a great opportunity for all of you, our partners, who are building industrial metaverse solutions, not only to build, design, and engage, infuse AI into those projects and solutions, but also to help build your go-to-market capability with us. And Nicole will share more about that later in her keynote. So as we transition to financial services, your house is a bank. And we've really done a lot of work here too. We are seeing generative AI crack open this industry in new transformational ways. And of course, this industry is highly regulated. And so here is how some of the most influential leaders are thinking about this opportunity.
The confluence of new models, transformer models with massive amounts of data, massive amounts of compute in hyperscale compute like Azure have conspired to bring together generative AI that is finally, maybe for the first time, passing the Turing test.
There's a real opportunity for us to create new tools, generate new insights, and in many ways change how the industry is able to consume our data, commingle their data with our data, and really generate a lot of incremental value.
You think about, consuming vast amount of data, real time, beyond structured data, delivering client experiences with real-time information and insights. It has a profound impact for us.
MUG はですね、AI 及びデータ分析領域におきまして、予診業務ですとか、マーケティング、あと市場業務でですね、モデル開発進めておりますが、業務の高度化、効率化に向けて取り組みの方を進めております。
Our ability to think about the future together with our customers, I think, is really enriched when you start to think about large language models and the ability to really generate ideas, inferences, and reasoning across multiple areas of expertise.
I think we're just scratching the surface of the potential of AI.
It's amazing to hear from these customers directly about how they see AI unlocking new value for their businesses. We're innovating with each and every one of them, and I'd like to show you what we've done to inspire, design, and accelerate value with Moody's. Now, please welcome Bill Borden to the stage. Bill?
Hey, Nick. Great to be here.
Nice to see you. So please show us what you've done with Moody's.
Sure. So just a couple of weeks ago, back in June, Moody's and Microsoft announced a new strategic partnership to transform Moody's vast market data platform using generative AI. So for our first use case, we've built the Moody's Copilot that can be accessed right inside of Teams. The Copilot's been rolled out to all 14,000 Moody's employees worldwide, and the Moody's team is super excited about this application, so let's take a look at the demo and we'll show you how it works.
Cool.
So in this scenario, Anna Willow, an investment advisor, works at a leading investment company, and she's sending an IM to Morgan Winter, who's a research analyst who specializes in this sector, asking about a client that's looking to invest more in HLP manufacturing. Of course, Morgan suggests using the Moody's Copilot to assist them in their prep. So Anna tags the Moody's Copilot in Teams and asks for the latest insights on HLP manufacturing, focused on credit rating and financial performance. Moody's Copilot shares a summary of their strategy, products, and commentary on how they can grow their business. The Copilot also provides data points in an adaptive card, which retrieves Moody's proprietary data about the company, including number of employees, revenue, and ESG scores. The adaptive card also has preloaded prompts with commonly asked follow-up questions. So now Anna and Morgan review the data, and Anna now checks the issuer rating. The Moody's Copilot shares that HLP has an A2 rating and provides the citation to the research. So now Anna thanks Morgan for the help. She has all the data and insights she needs to have a really productive conversation with a really important investor customer. So Nick, the Moody's Copilot makes it really easy for users to access quickly data and insights about companies using a very simple interface and then exploring them more in a collaborative environment in Teams.
You know what I love about the demo, and there's multiple things that you and I chat about when we talk about this demo. First is the speed from that announcement to being able to deploy it across 14,000, in a production environment. Then, of course, it's a Copilot that is essentially a plug-in to Teams. So you can go into the Teams App Store and get that, get that Copilot. Of course, you could also use Marketplace, Azure Marketplace. And I think what it's showing, particularly for our partners, is we're a platform for go-to-market and commercialization, as well as obviously, a partner in the co-innovation. And so it really starts to show some of those presentment layers that we've got to actually help the go-to-market move very quickly. And I think we're going to see more and more of this from the plugins for our partners, obviously infused with AI, showing up in our commercial platform. So, Bill, thank you so much. Awesome.
Right. Terrific. Thanks.
Thank you. So I think that gives you a taste and how clear it is to see our industry growth strategy and how we're going to invest and innovate together to drive new partner and customer opportunity. Many of the solutions that we have built and deployed together have leveraged our industry clouds. These are purpose-built industry technology assets that verticalize our horizontal cloud services. In the year ahead, we will continue to innovate these industry capabilities and provide extensibility to both you, our partners, and our customers. Additionally, we'll make increased investments in go-to-market activities to scale and simplify how we build and license industry cloud solutions together. We know that partners that co-sell with us by industry are able to better meet customer needs and meet customers where they are. They're also able to grow faster and generate higher margins. These outcomes are driven by our unique go-to-market strategy, which is a combination of our extensible world-class leading innovation, the largest sales force in the industry, and the scale of the Microsoft commercial marketplace. The Microsoft AI platform creates an unmatched opportunity to increase the success of everything we do together moving forward. Thank you for all that you do as partners with us. Now I'd like to welcome Nicole Deason, Microsoft's Chief Partner Officer. Nicole.